You know, why
Yes.
don't stupid people like you get out of Ontario? I mean, really.
Where would you like me to go, sir?
Why don't you go down to Washington with that fruitcake down there?
Well, I'm standing in front of Deco Labels. This is Doug Ford's business, and it's going to be the site of a protest by the Ontario Coalition Against Poverty. They're upset about things such as the minimum wage not increasing by $1 and the reduction of sick days. And of course, this is being interpreted as a war on the poor. They don't mention the tax cuts that the Ford government gave to low-income individuals recently. But a couple of things strike me about this protest. First of all, as you can see, folks, it's a Saturday. The business is closed. There's no one here for the protesters to interact with. And secondly, the primary target of their protest, Doug Ford, he's just about 3 kilometers away at the Toronto Congress Centre as part of the Ontario PC convention. So I'm not sure these guys have their coordinates quite where they should be. Hi guys, are you here for the protest?
We are.
Okay, what brings you out here then, ma'am?
Because I oppose the cuts that are about to be made, and I want to stand up for vulnerable people who are going to suffer from it. And I am the people. That's why I'm here. I've written them a nice poem.
Oh, really? Does it have a verse that rhymes with hickory dickory dock?
No, it does not. In fact, it doesn't rhyme at all.
Okay.
But it is a poem nonetheless.
Excuse me.
Sorry.
No, wait a minute. What about that poem? Little Boy Blue. I'll let you fill in the rhyming verse to that one, folks. Just wondering what brings you out to the protest, sir?
Well, it's an act of civil disobedience against a government I don't agree with.
Okay, then. Is there something specifically you don't agree with?
Well, I think it'd be easier to ask me, is there anything I really agree with this government?
Oh, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you.
Bullshit down Ontario! Cuts the childcare! Bullshit down Ontario! I said cuts the transit! Bullshit down Ontario! Ford's rich friends want more and more!
Hi, ma'am. What?
Talk to him. Please don't talk to him.
Oh.
Rebel media, they're very conservative.
Oh, is that a bad thing, ma'am? Or?
This man is a millionaire. How dare he try to take away my raise that I just got because of equal pay for equal work?
What about the argument that sometimes if you raise the minimum wage too high, that's actually a job killer? You see in retail stores going to self-checkout kiosks. Isn't that a concern?
I don't think that's because of a decent living wage. That's because capitalists always want to make more money and take away jobs in order to do that. But
Oh, you don't like capitalism then, or?
no.
These are what I end up telling you guys. The only people I blame is the people itself for voting for corporations. Do not blame a government that you put in power. You're at fault.
So if you were an advisor to Doug Ford, what would you tell him to do right now, sir?
Doug, we need to work less. 6 hours in 4 shifts. Certain company has to start doing 24 hours.
Can a company function in such a business model?
Because more money will be in the pocket of the people. We'll have employment, so not unemployment.
So
In
you
6
you
shifts,
want to work less but get paid more, is that correct?
it would cover for the 2 hours that we're not getting, but we have time for commuting or family. It's a good solution. Am I the only one in Canada with common sense here, guys?
To call this government a government for the people is a sick travesty of right-wing populism. It is a government of the rich and only the rich.
Is this where we send the bill for Rob Ford's funeral? Because he was just a drunk.
Rob Ford was just a drunk.
Yeah, that's all. He didn't do anything in City Hall.
Why did he win such a resounding mandate from the people of Toronto?
No, you know what? I grew up in Los Angeles, but I am from Toronto, and I've never seen such disregard for the public as I see in Ontario.
Disregard by whom, sir?
By the government.
Can you give me an example? Are you speaking of the Ontario government or the City of Toronto government?
The whole thing, all the way from Stephen Harper and you know.
But he's been out of office for over 3 years, right?
Yeah, and he was terrible.
Oh, okay. What made him terrible, sir?
He didn't like science. No, he didn't like science. He's a.
I've never heard that criticism of Stephen Harper before. Why did he not like?
What do you mean you never heard it?
Why?
Did you ever hear that song, Harper Man?
I think I may have heard of that, but he doesn't like science based on.
He doesn't like science. Doesn't like science.
He was going to repeal the law of gravity, I guess, or.
You know what? No, he's just one of these Christian jerk-offs.
Wow, I mean that seems like such pejorative language. I mean, would you?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
You know,
would you ever say
you're rebel, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Who's it? You know that real snake that you have? What's his name?
Well, there's no snakes I know of at the Rebel, but
yeah. He's the one that he's always got his mouth open. It was in Calgary.
Would you be speaking of our commander-in-chief, Ezra Levant?
Yeah.
You think he's a snake? What makes Ezra a snake, sir?
He's a snake.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, we're all very grateful for him. We think he's a great mind. He signs our paychecks, always makes payroll. What makes him a snake?
He's like a pusher of just of a mob mentality. See,
this kind of looks like a mob behind me right now, actually.
Ezra, when I've heard him, he said he doesn't make any sense.
Can you give me an example, sir?
Well, I was in Calgary, and I was looking around. Everybody's into big oil and stuff like that.
Is that bad, or?
Yeah. Yeah. What does Ontario have? It's sitting on a gold mine.
But I mean, I'm looking at all these cars zooming by on the 401. How do they get anywhere with that oil, sir?
What does Ontario have? It has the largest reserve in North America. What is it? Come on. Are you talking
about the Ring of Fire, or?
Yeah. What's in there?
Okay, well, there's all kinds of minerals that haven't been developed.
Like.
But I guess what is your point, though? You want an alternative to oil, or?
Yes.
Okay.
What is that?
The lithium crystals.
No.
Well, what is the alternative? Educate me.
Graphene. You ever hear of graphene? Okay. No.
I'll look it up. Okay.
You know what?
I know. I'm a dummy. I'm sorry.
You are a dummy.
Okay. I get that a lot.
You know what?
Okay. Thank you.
You know what? Why don't stupid people like you get out of Ontario? I mean, really.
Where would you like me to go, sir?
Why don't you go down to Washington with that fruitcake down there?
Oh, who's the fruitcake?
Cheetolini.
Okay. All right. I'll book passage to Washington.
So we had some who said coming here to this business today might be a bit too personal. People might not be ready for such a gesture. The fact is that what we are trying to do here today is to give a lead. People have to understand that if Ford says Ontario is open for business, it must not be open for business on his terms.
Sorry, I couldn't hear you, sir. What?
I don't talk to Nazis.
Who's the Nazi?
Yeah, you guys. I know about you guys.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I even kicked out fake goalie. Goodbye.
Okay. Wow. It's really personally shocking for me to be called a Nazi. I think on two fronts. First of all, my grandfather spent more than 5 years of his life in the Second World War fighting Nazis. I'm also married to a Jewish woman. So I asked the man to explain that, and as you saw, he walked away. They just can't articulate themselves yet again. Hi, ma'am. What does your sign mean, Canadian Pussy Power?
What's it mean? Well, it initially was my personal response to the inauguration of Donald Trump as President of the United States.
Oh, okay. So, like you're recycling your sign, I guess, or?
No, I think Mr. Ford is just taking all his steps from Mr. Trump.
Oh, okay. Then some would say that might be a good thing, though.
Definitely not.
Okay. Try to figure out what Canadian Pussy Power has to do with minimum wage.
Hell, you're asking me that? Why are you asking me that? Don't I pronounce it with who I am here? Do you need to read my buttons?
Okay. Respect life, never forget. Equal work for equal pay. Ask me why I march. Stop violence against women. I'm taking the nuclear industry to court. Oh, that's interesting. Why are you taking the nuclear industry to court, ma'am?
Well, most Toronto raging grannies disapprove of the nuclear industry.
How would we heat our homes then without nuclear power?
We could start by having smaller homes and better insulated ones.
Would that solve all the problems if we shut down the nuclear reactors?
Well, Mr. Ford is busy shutting down the money that was given for wind farms.
But the green energy file, that was a disaster. That was an economic boondoggle.
No, not necessarily. I'm with the Green Party of Canada as well. I'm actually NDP because the Green Party hasn't a chance of ruling federally. But I say praise be to the Greens and the old ladies and the environmentalists and the Indigenous groups who stopped Kinder Morgan on the West Coast not too long ago.
But that's funny you say that, because that costs so many jobs and so much investment in Canada. I thought you're out here to, have low-income people get a step up in the world. How does killing jobs do that?
I'm out here to save Mother Earth so that my children and grandchildren will have a place to live.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Woo. Hey folks, The Rebel has a new app. Please download that app and bring The Rebel with you wherever you travel.